Very warm welcome to our Honorable Chief Minister, Dr. Pramodji Sawant. I request all the dignitaries to come on stage and occupy the chair. Dr. Anil Kakodkar, Professor Hebil Lucina Wozniak, Shri Jose Manuel Norona, Ma'am Cheshta Yadav IAS, Dr. Sunil Kumar Singh, and Shri Ankit Yadav IAS. Let's welcome all our guests with beautiful flowers as a mark of respect and joy. Honorable Dr. Pramodji Sawant. Let's welcome all our guests. Dr. Anil Kakodkar. Professor Dr. Hebil Lucina Wozniak. Shri Jose Manuel Norona. Ma'am Cheshta Yadav. Dr. Sunil Kumar Singh and Shri Ankit Yadav. I now request Honorable Chief Minister and all the other dignitaries to come forward and kindle the lamp and inaugurate the 6th edition of Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav. This festival is befitting tribute to our former Chief Minister, Shri Manohar Parrikar, and this day is observed as Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav. This has been possible only because of the efforts of our Honorable Chief Minister, Dr. Pramodji Sawant, and we are happy to see him inaugurating this festival every year. The festival, which gives students of Goa the opportunity to meet scientists, scholars from different parts of the world. The festival, which builds scientific temperament, open-mindedness, rational, critical thinking, and festival of innovative ideas. 6th edition of Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav. A person who has led an extraordinary life, who led a life full of inspiration. He left an example of simplicity, dedication, and walking the talk that will for long be the standard to distinguish leaders from politicians. He was multitasking. He is remembered for his humility. He initiated many path-breaking initiatives in governance way before the rest of the world even thought about it. The 6th edition has been inaugurated, and once again a warm welcome to all the distinguished guests, officials, the speakers, students of all the 9 venues. I would now like to request the Chairman Advisory Committee, Shri Jose Manuel Norona, to welcome this august gathering.
A very good morning to all of you, to our Honorable Chief Minister, who is with us today, Dr. Anil Kakodkar, Dr. Lucina Wozniak, esteemed speakers at different venues in the state of Goa, Secretary DSP, Dr. Hemant Kumar Jolly, the awardee for this year, Mr. Yadav, the Director of Science and Technology, Director NIO, Dr. Singh, and all the young students who are here. This is the 6th edition of this festival, and every year I come here, the crowd looks younger, eager to learn. Remember, we have these 9 venues, including NIO, which is the main venue. Now, this year we added a venue in Darbandora, which is one of the remote parts of Goa, which even scientists have gone there. Now, if you see this presentation that is here, this was held in 2019, the first festival that we had, and many people who are here have been following this festival right through. Today we have a Chief Minister who is very busy. He has many programs to attend. I can't run through this entire presentation today with you, but I'm sure you will be able to grasp a lot of information and knowledge from the speakers who are here. We have an important event where we are going to honor Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Awardee today. So without spending much time, I welcome all of you for this program and look forward to a good participation from all the youth who are here with us today now and virtually. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this warm words of welcome. Now let's head towards the award ceremony. I request Dr. Mohit Kumar Jolly to come on stage. Can we have a huge round of applause for Dr. Mohit Kumar Jolly? And I request all the dignitaries to come forward. And may I kindly read the citation. Professor Mohit Kumar Jolly is an associate professor in Department of Bioengineering at Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, India. He has made seminal contributions in understanding how cancer cells adapt to various stresses and drive therapy failure in patients. He obtained his BTech and MTech in biological sciences and bioengineering from IIT Kanpur in 2010 and 2012 respectively, and his PhD in bioengineering from Rice University, USA in 2016. He joined Indian Institute of Sciences in 2018 as an assistant professor. His stellar research contributions have given fundamental insights into how cancer cells spread from one organ to another and develop resistance to various therapies. He has been recognized as an outstanding young alumnus both by IIT Kanpur and Rice University. He is recipient of multiple national and international awards, such as Indian National Science Academy Young Scientist Medal, International Center for Theoretical Physics, and Arthur T. Winfrey Prize awarded by Society for Mathematical Biology in 2024. Government of Goa, the Department of Science, Technology and Waste Management is pleased to confer on him the Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Award for 2024. Dr. Anil Kakodkar, Chairman Expert Committee, Dr. Pramod Sawant, Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Goa. Thank you, sir. Best wishes and hearty congratulations and heartfelt wishes to Dr. Mohit Kumar Jolly from all of us, from entire Goa, to keep your noble work for entire mankind. Congratulations once again. May I now request Honorable Chief Minister, Dr. Pramod Sawant, to share his thoughts on this very, very special day. Honorable Dr. Pramod Sawant.
So good morning, students. For the 6th edition of the Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav, the dignitaries on dais, Professor Dr. Habli Lunja Wozinek is an esteemed scholar of the Poland. Professor Dr. Anil Kakodkar, Gomanta Vibhushan and former chairman of the Atomic Energy of the Commission of India. Sri Jose Manuel Nerona, the chairman of the advisory committee of this Mahotsav. Mrs. Chesta Yadav, Secretary of the Science and Technology of the Technology and Waste Management. Sri Mohit Kumar Jolly, this year's the Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Awardee. The eminent scientists, respected teachers, and dear students. It is my great privilege to be here today for the 6th edition of Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav. This Mahotsav is a remarkable event organized in the honor of the late Sri Manohar Parrikar ji, whose contribution to science, technology, and governance continue to inspire us all. This day celebrated on his birth anniversary reminds us of his vision to integrate the science and innovation into the progress of our state and country. It is heartening to see how this event has grown over the year, becoming the flagship initiatives of the Department of the Science and Technology and Waste Management. Today, I am delighted to note that 90 eminent scientists from the diverse field are engaging with the students across the 9 different venues in Goa, inspiring the young minds and fostering the scientific curiosity. This effort is a great example of how we can ignite the passion of the science amongst our youth. This year, keynote professor, Professor Dr. Vidnyan Mahotsav, has traveled all the way from Poland to share her expertise and inspire our students. Thank you, Professor, and for being the part of this celebration of science. We are also immensely proud of Dr. Anil Kakodkar, the son of Goa, who has brought the global recognitions of our state through his invaluable contribution to atomic energy. Sir, your achievements serve as an inspiration to the countless young scientists. It is equally exciting to have Sri Mohit Kumar Jolly, Associate Professor from the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, with us today. He has been recognized with the Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Award 2024, and for this groundbreaking research in the cancer treatment. His work demonstrates how the science can address some of the most critical challenges facing humanity. Our government is committed to promoting the scientific knowledge and fostering innovation. I am happy to announce that the Department of the Science and Technology and Waste Management has signed the MOU with the prominent national institute, including the Principal Scientific Advisor of the Government of India and the Indian Academy of the Science and CSIR. This collaboration ensures the participation of the world-renowned scientists at this Mahotsav, making it a truly global platform for learning. This event is also live-streamed on a social media, enabling the general public to participate and benefit from the knowledge shared by these eminent personalities. I firmly believe that the science has the power of transform the scientist, solve the personal issues, and create the opportunities. I urge all the students present here today to dream big, work hard, and pursue the career in science. When I say that, and you should pursue the career in science, I do not mean simply aim to avail the graduate or the master degree in the field of science. In Goa, it is noted that the students opt from the science degree when their percentage is high, and you should choose the field with a keen interest in the subject and not just aim to avail the job opportunities as a teacher or the professor in the school and colleges. The world is moving rapidly towards a knowledge-based economy, and it is an imperative for the youth to think beyond the conventional boundaries. Pursue the science not just as a subject, but as a tool to solve the real-world problem. The patents and innovations are in the benchmark of the true scientific contribution. I urge you to channel your creativity into the developing unique solution, be it in the medicine, technology, environmental sustainability, or any other field. Let Goa not just be the state to adopt the technology, but a state that creates its patent. It sees the global benchmark. Let us aim to produce the scientific and the patents from Goa, and who can contribute not only to our state, but also to the nation and to the world. The government of Goa is here to support you, and whether through the education initiatives, innovative centers, and the events like the Vidnyan Mahotsav, and which connect you with some of the brightest minds in the world. I would also like to make this special mention regarding the Science Film Festival hosted in Goa in January 2024. Over the 6,000 students were the part of this scientific extravaganza. I believe such initiatives should be regularly organized to ensure the young kids are introduced to the world of the science and to develop the scientific attitude and the temperaments among the students in their behavior so that it benefits them in future. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Vigyan Parishad Goa, all the participant scientists and the educators for making this event the grand success. I also thank Dr. Sunil Kumar Singh, the Director of NIO, for his continued support. I congratulate to the Ministry of the Science and Technology and Waste Management for his team to organize for this event. Let us make this inspiration from the Manohar Parrikarji's vision and work towards building the scientific temperament in our society. I assure you that the government will continue to support this Mahotsav in the years to come, making Goa a hub for the scientific innovations. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts with all of us, especially these young minds present at 9 different venues. Your unwavering support make this festival happen every year in such a grand way. May I request Chairman Advisory Committee, Shri Jose Manuel Noronha, sir, to present a memento to Honorable Chief Minister. Thank you, sir. Honorable Chief Minister has to leave for some very important, urgent work. We will continue with the function. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being here and inaugurating the 6th edition of this festival. As we continue with our function, I would like to request Sir Noronha to give the overview of past 6 years celebration of this festival. Sir Noronha.
Yeah, sorry, I had to cut short because our Honorable Chief Minister was busy. Just for you to understand, we have, like I said, 8 venues. This time we have a series of speakers coming in. We have Professor Wozniak from Poland. We also have another son of the soil, Professor Dr. Ravi Fernandez, who is in Germany, the University of Brunswick. So he will be speaking at CanCon. We have Professor Tilve, who is also from here, who will be speaking at Darbandora. And the topics that we are covering this time range from sustainable development right to environment protection issues, chemistry, physics, quantum physics. We have with us Professor Wozniak, who will speak on longevity, success of medicine, or a global challenge to public health. We look forward to hearing your talk, Professor. Dr. Anil Kakotkar will be speaking on thorium, being critical for India's long-term energy security. So with all these speakers that we have today, we are sure the youth, not only here, but across the venues in Goa, will learn a lot. When we have this series of lectures, it is mainly to inculcate a kind of a sense of science, technology. Do I like it? See, remember, there are 5,000 of you attending the program today live, in different venues. Many of them are online because it is being telecast across. You may like science, you may not like science. We don't expect that 5,000 of you are going to be science buffs or science addicts or science learners, but some of you will. So those of you who don't like science, I was just talking to Dr. Kakotkar now, we have to do what we love, remember. That is more important than anything else. If you love science, by all means, you have everybody who will advise you, who will guide you, who will take you through. But if it is not your cup of tea, let it go. Just let it ride. Over the years, we've had speakers who have come across to different venues. I'll just name a few. In fact, the current Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Dr. Ajay Kumar Sood, was one of the first speakers at this event in 2019. And we have, like it said earlier, we have an MOU with them. They help us to source speakers for you. We go to Delhi, we meet them, CSIR, we talk to them, we discuss. And selecting 18 speakers of scientific background, mainly science and technology, is not that easy. It takes us a long time. It takes us 3 or 4 months to prepare for this program. Then the speakers have to be free. They have to come in here. The other addition to Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav was the Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Award scheme. It was announced last year. This year we have Dr. Mohit Kumar Jolly, who's the awardee. Last year we had a scientist from ISRO who was awarded. So this is adding more flavor to this festival. We hope some of the youth who are here will be the future awardees of this fantastic scheme that the government has. And I'm told this is the only one that right now has such a high cash prize of 5 lakh rupees, and other parts of India it's not there. That's what I'm just told. But anyway, so Dr. Kumar Jolly, best wishes to you. Just a reminder that Mr. Manohar Parrikar was a humble technocrat. So that humility is something that you should also carry along as a trait of an award that you've been given by Mr. Parrikar. I thank Dr. Kakotkar, Dr. Voznak for coming here, Secretary DST, Director DST for their presence here, Director NIO for all the help and cooperation. And I look forward to a very fruitful discussion with all of you here and the other venues. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Dr. Anil Kakotkar, former Chairman, Atomic Energy Commission, and Chairman, Expert Committee, Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Award 2024. We are really proud to have you over here, sir. I request Dr. Anil Kakotkar to speak a few words on this occasion.
Dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, dear young students, expect many of them to become scientists, not only in this auditorium, but all over Goa who have joined this program. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to add a little bit further to what Mr. Narona said. I think it's absolutely important that we pursue career in areas that you like, that you enjoy. So it could be science, it could be other areas, they are all important, and I would say equally important. What I want to add over and above that is that regardless of whether one chooses a career in science or not, it's clear that science impacts our life. And so it's important that we remain engaged with science. The lives of young people like you today and life of people like me who were young many decades earlier was quite different. And maybe another 4 or 5 decades from now, it would be even more different. And if we want to remain relevant, if we want to remain creative and productive, it's important that while we pursue career in science or not is left to you, but you must remain engaged with science. So I think it's important to recognize that. Another important point that I wish to make is, what determines a country to be a leading country? Is it the military power? Is it the economic wealth? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I think one single parameter that determines it all is the ability of the country to create very innovative, very disruptive technologies ahead of other countries. That's what gives you that leading edge, both in terms of the military strength as well as in terms of the economic strength and many others. So it's important that India as a country, Goa as an important state in India, we are advanced in terms of science, in terms of converting science into innovative and disruptive technologies, particularly those which have not been done by anybody else, and applying those technologies for the common good. I think that is what distinguishes the leading countries, leading states as compared to others. And I think let us all pledge on this day when we are celebrating Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav, that all of us, the young people of Goa, will aim at achieving this. Talking about these awards, I have been very fortunate to be the jury along with my colleagues. Two of them are sitting on the dais, Dr. Singh, Dr. Narona, and many others. But I must mention here that this has been a very rich and very refreshing experience. We're talking about looking at young engineers, young scientists, young technologists who have, by way of their research, already made a significant impact in the domains of science, and who have decided to continue their work in India. And we already had, I think, great response from the young scientific community of the country last year. This year, it was even better. And more importantly, it was even better in qualitative terms. The quality of, I'm sure all my colleagues would agree, that we had much better response. And it's actually a great feeling to see the caliber of young Indians in science domain. So I have personally benefited in being a part of this process by getting refreshed by a lot of good work that is happening around the country. Congratulations to Dr. Jolly. I must tell you that the selection has not been very easy, but we do expect that you and all others who participated in this award scheme along with you, many of you would make big difference to your own careers going forward, to your own field of research going forward, and to India as a whole going forward. To young students from Goa who are participating in this event, I think these are role models for you. You are going to be listening lectures from elderly scientists who have established performance behind them. We are going to also listen to Dr. Jolly and some others, if not today, maybe later during the year. But the important thing is, this is a challenge before you. I would also like to see one of these days a young Goan to be Manohar Parrikar awardee. And but we don't make any criteria based on where you come from, whether you are from Goa or outside. The criteria is absolute merit. And I would like to see one of you coming forward and winning this award at some stage. And then, of course, the next step is I do look forward to many of you to make very distinctive contributions, fulfilling the aspirations which I just narrated. So, congratulations to you, Dr. Jolly. Congratulations to all colleagues who participated in this award selection process. Congratulations to all young people who are a part of this program. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kakotkar, for these words of encouragement. We have the opportunity to hear him again in the technical session. We shall now have screening of short film on Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav. Let's wait.
Science and technology is the key that opens up the portals of new development opportunities for society. A scientific temperament and a culture of research and innovation create technological advancements that drastically improve the quality of life for millions of people. A rapidly developing India is also embracing technologies such as 5G, AI, machine learning, robotics, and blockchain to boost productivity and emancipate the people at the grassroots. Drone Didis are revolutionizing Indian agriculture. Digital payments through UPI have reached tens of billions of transactions worth trillions of rupees. In recent years, India has made new strides in the manufacturing of semiconductors. In Goa too, embracing technology for the betterment of the people lies at the core of the state government's policy. AI-based solutions are being used in areas including education and student assessment, healthcare, and transport. Utilizing technology for the emancipation of people at the grassroots was the vision and mission of the former Chief Minister of Goa, Padma Bhushan late Shri Manohar Parrikar. He pioneered the game-changing e-governance initiative in Goa and strived to integrate advanced technology in every aspect of the Goan economy to make Goa a smart tourism destination. Today, digital apps are transforming Goa's tourism industry. Enhanced digital connectivity with 5G networks is allowing tourists to explore Goa's hinterland and helping Goa embrace regenerative tourism to preserve and showcase its natural and cultural heritage in a sustainable manner. Envisioning Goa as a smart and globally competitive destination, the late Shri Manohar Parrikar created many avenues to offer Goan youth the opportunity to acquire the best scientific and technological knowledge of the day. One such avenue of knowledge that continues the late Manohar Parrikar's legacy is the Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav, an initiative by the government of Goa under the leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister, Dr. Pramod Sawant. Beginning as the Nobel Prize series in 2018, the Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav has evolved as a leading platform for exchanging ideas and learning about the latest developments in science and technology. Some of the best minds in the scientific community across the world and India, including Dr. Tessie Thomas, the first ever woman scientist to head a missile project, the Agni 4, have shared their insights and experiences from this esteemed platform. Over the years, the Chief Minister, Dr. Pramod Sawant, has transformed the Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav into a platform that makes the best of scientific knowledge accessible to students across all walks of life. The event takes place at 9 locations, including those in Goa's hinterland, enabling those in remote areas and at the grassroots to upgrade themselves and build a bright future in a fast-developing knowledge economy. The Mahotsav is also live-streamed on the internet, making it free and accessible for all. Besides lectures and interactive sessions, the Yuva Scientist Award is an important part of the Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav. This award bestowed upon young scientists includes a cash prize of Rs 5 lakh and a prestigious citation. Entries are received from young scientists at some of India's most esteemed institutes, and the awardee is chosen by a committee chaired by the renowned nuclear physicist, the son of Goan soil and former chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission of India, Shri Anil Kakotkar. Every year, the Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav engages over 15,000 students, researchers, academicians, industry professionals, and the general public. In its 6th edition, the Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav promises to be a hub of expertise that sparks inspiration and innovation within the scientific community.
As we all know, Goa is famous for sun, sand, and sea. In future, it could be known for another S, and that S could stand for scientific temperament, S for science festivals, S for stellar scientists, and Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav is that platform which can make this happen, providing opportunities, providing inspiration and motivation to young, budding minds. Thank you. As we head forward, may I now request Secretary, Science, Technology and Waste Management, Government of Goa, Ma'am Cheshta Yadav, to deliver her address.
Respected dignitaries on the stage and all the participants in the auditorium, as we approach the technical session here, I take this opportunity to offer my sincere thanks to the esteemed speakers who are gracing this occasion and who will be part of the technical session here. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone present here and your remarkable participation in the 6th edition of the Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav. This celebration would not have been possible without the unwavering support and contribution from various quarters. A special mention to Professor Dr. Wozniak, our keynote speaker, who has traveled all the way from Poland, as well as Dr. Anil Kakotkar, and this year's Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Awardee, Dr. Mohit Kumar Jolly. Their insights into the vital topics such as advancements in medicine for public health, India's energy security, and cutting-edge solution in cancer treatment will surely enrich all of us here. I would also like to express my gratitude to the Honorable Chief Minister who has graced this occasion despite his previous engagements. A special thank goes out to the organizing committee and all the staff and officials involved, tirelessly working behind the scenes to make this a grand success. I extend my appreciation to our generous sponsors whose contributions have been instrumental in making this event a reality. I also like to thank our event management team, Vincent Graphics. My thanks also goes out to the team managing this wonderful venue, the NIOS, led by Dr. Sunil Singh Ji. Thank you for providing us this venue. I would also like to thank to all the speakers presenting at the 8 parallel venues, as well as the liaison officers who ensured the smooth execution of these sessions. A special note of gratitude goes out to the teachers, the volunteers, the coordinators, and all other stakeholders who have contributed their time and effort toward the success of this Mahotsav. At the end, I conclude, let us cherish the memories made during the 6th edition of this Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav and carry forward the spirit of scientific inquiry and community engagement that Parrikar ji always envisioned for Goa and for all of us. Jai Hind.
Now we will head towards the technical session. I once again thank all the dignitaries on the dais and request them to take your seats in the auditorium. And we will need maximum 3 to 4 minutes to change the setup. And we are ready with our technical session to go ahead. I request Dr. Sujit Dongre, Scientist, Center for Environment Education, to take the further proceedings. Dr. Sujit Dongre.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you. We'll just take about a minute or so two just to change the setup. And all of you know that today is an exciting day where a brilliant mind was born in the state of Goa, Shri Manohar Parrikar. In his name, and to commemorate his birth anniversary, the government of Goa took a decision to observe this day as Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav. And this year we are celebrating 6th edition of Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav. When it began 5 years back, we got together, many of us, and thought of how do we actually carry forward his legacy. And he believed in science, and science is nothing but truth and reality. Society has to work on the basis of the principles of science, and we felt that the students from Goa must get an opportunity not only to listen to the greatest minds who have contributed and done a marvelous innovation and invention in the field of science and technology, should come here in the state of Goa and speak to you as physically and interact with you and answer the questions perhaps you may have, so that you see them, listen to them, and get motivation and inspiration, and so that you also try to imitate and become the greatest minds in the field of science and technology. And this was the aim with which we started. And since the beginning, we are growing. And this is the 6th edition that perhaps you might be seeing, that we have been able to reach to entire nook and corner of the state of Goa. As in the beginning we said, we have 9 different venues, right from Kepe, Kankona, Darbandura, Panjim, Pedname, and various places where every student of our great state has an opportunity to listen to them physically. At the same time, we are also live on the social media platform, both on Instagram, we have Facebook and all, so that whoever is not in a position to come and see and interact physically, they can listen to and get inspiration and motivated about. Okay, so today we have 3 eminent speakers who are delivering their lecture here in this hall. One of the professor that we have, Professor Lucina Woźniak, who has traveled all the way from Poland to Goa to see and interact with our children. And I have had an opportunity to discuss with her, and she has been very warm, and she's looking forward to delivering her lecture and also interacting with all of us. Without taking much of a time, I would be happy to introduce Professor Woźniak, and I request Professor Woźniak to kindly come to make the presentation. I'm very happy to introduce Professor Woźniak. Professor Lucina A. Woźniak graduated from the Technical University of Lodz. After PhD from Polish Academy of Science and postdoc in King's College London, she got habilitation, that is DSc, from the Center of Molecular and Macromolecular Studies, Polish Academy of Science. From 2005, she became professor at the Medical University of Lodz, working in the field of medical chemistry and molecular biology. Interested in molecular aspects of pregnancy-induced diabetics as an early predictor of type 2 diabetic in women population. She is the vice rector of Medical University Lodz since the year 2012, responsible for science and international collaboration. Currently, she is a vice rector of international collaboration for the year 2024 to 2028, director of Healthy Aging Research Center, Medical University of Lodz since the year 2012. Supervisory board member of EIT Health, Knowledge and Innovation Community Active Life and Healthy Aging, the biggest platform for medical innovation with more than 160 partners. Member of the high-level group on maximizing impact of EU, European Union Research and Innovation Program of European Commission. She is also a member of the European University Association Task Force on FP10. She is expert and consultant of the EC and National Science and Research and Development Council of the Ministry of Science and Higher Education, Government of Poland, member of International Advisory Board of Welsey University in Life Sciences and Maastricht University, Brno. She's also a member of the board of directors of European Women Rectors Association and Perspective Foundation, running national and international ranks in the higher university. So we are very happy, Dr. Osnaik, Professor Osnaik, that you made it to our state, and I request you to kindly continue with your lecture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this too long introduction. I have my phone with me, not to call to Poland, but just to control my talk today. So I will try not to go too long. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's really very inspirational meeting, and I must say I'm very happy and excited to be a part of it. Since I came from Poland, I will give you just a hint where we are from, which is the city, the biggest city in Poland, academic city with more than 80,000 students, but also is a place located in the center of geographical Europe, 30 kilometers from which there is a geographical center of Europe. So, saying this, I would go to the presentation of my lecture. I want to say that being a part of this community today is an honor for me. And we decided that I will talk about aging and longevity, which can be a global public health challenge for 21st century. I can easily talk about it because I belong to the 60-plus generation, so I know what I am talking about challenges and problems that the aging population of the globe is facing. But I will try to give you, during my lecture, some understand of the global demographic trends in aging and longevity, defining what is aging, what is longevity, explore both health and also economic and social and societal implications of the aging population, and also to discuss strategies for increasing longevity and strategies for healthy aging, which are quite crucial for you. And also, being from the medical university, I will try to highlight the role of healthcare professionals and local communities in solving the problem. Before I go to definition of aging and to discuss what is science-based knowledge about it, I want to come back to some historical facts. It's quite a nice coincidence that 500 years ago, a Spanish conquistador started his expedition to go to America to find treasure and gold. And when they landed in 1524 in Panama, they met healthy people, old people living a good life in one of the villages. So they decided that there is a special source of their health, of their happiness, and started, instead of looking for gold, started to look for so-called aqua vita, the source, the elixir of youth. So the history has 500 years. And it means that always human beings, always people wanted to live longer and to live happier life. If this is the goal for the global society, we have to treat it very seriously. Thank you for the film that you presented during the ceremony, because it summarizes the interdisciplinary approach that we need to solve or to help solving problems of demographic challenge and increasing group of people around the world living 65 plus and longer, to people who live 100 years and longer, and who can be a very valuable part of our communities and societies if we found the basis for the coexistence of generations. So what I want to say is, and I will talk about thinking globally, but acting locally. We need a global look at the problem or a challenge. I don't like the word problem when talking about aging. This is just a challenge because, according to the definition you can see here, aging is a biological process that leads to physiological and functional decline. But this is a process, and everybody, each person, each human being, but also each animal will be a part of this process. If this is the case, we should think about healthy aging. Not only aging, but aging in good speed, in good condition, aging relatively close to the community we come from, and living a satisfactional life. And the WHO defines healthy aging as a process of developing and maintaining functional ability that enables well-being in older age. What does it mean? It means that we have to use all resources we have, all knowledge and experience we have to support our society for a healthy aging. Of course, being here among young generation, people who will face this in probably 30, 40, 50 years, it's quite difficult to talk about diseases, about age-related diseases. But if you look at the list of these diseases, you can find a space for medicine, for molecular biology, for all research that can be done in solving the problems connected with aging-related diseases. On the list that is presented here, you can see cardiovascular diseases, you can see degenerative joint diseases, also diabetes, or in general civilization diseases, but also neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson, Alzheimer, being the examples of dementia, which also cause a lot of struggle among the aging society. Cancer, obvious and so natural on the list. Our this year award winner can talk about it in details. I just want to put this on the list. And usually when thinking about the aging society, we also think about the generation of multiple organs. One more comment when talking about these diseases and the reasons and the background, molecular background of these diseases. It's not time to do this. Just looking at these examples here given, like inflammation, like telomere reducing, like mitochondrial dysfunction, and many others, DNA damage, we can see that there is a space for research, but there is also a space for community acting, because some of these diseases can be controlled when people know how to live. So we have to live consciously, knowing and thinking about aging as a process, and trying to support not only the community, but also support us and prepare us for this healthy aging and longevity. Since this is, as I said, and I do believe, one of the few most important challenges, global challenges of human beings, you can imagine that this is also in light of international organizations, including World Health Organization, which publishes every year reports on development of aging, anti-aging or healthy aging activity around the world. But let's put some facts, some numbers. Numbers illustrate very well the process. So look at these numbers and imagine a population of 761 million people of age 60 plus around the globe. It's half of the population of India, roughly, I think, when you think about it. But there is estimation and projection that in 2050, so in a year where you will be still very active professionally and participating in a social life, this number will double. So the in total population of the world, the population of India could represent people 65 plus. What's more important and more frustrating, population aging is irreversible global trend. What does it mean? It means that for last 4 centuries, the average life been longer and longer along the world. So we live much longer. I will give you some schemes demonstrating how rapid the process of increasing lifespan was. And because of that, we have to be prepared for these societal changes with the use of all possible resources we have. Of course, this process is not even all around the world. Parts of the globe develop with different speed, and I will show you also this in next slides. But you have to imagine that in 2050, 1 in 6 people globally will be 65 or more. As fertility levels fall, the younger generation share declines, but it also means that the global employees market is changing, and we will have shortage of people who will work in this aging society. Here you can see how much the differences are projected back, that it's Northern Africa and Western Asia with sub-Saharan Africa, which are expected to experience the fastest growth of elderly people. One very important factor also, which is visible among communities in Europe already is that women used to live longer. The difference sometimes in countries like Poland exceeds 6 years among the average lifespan of men and women. What does it mean? It means that the aging society is shifted towards female participants of life. At the age of 90, in a community of Japanese elderly people, the percentage of women reaches 75%. It also creates additional challenges for women to support them in a good and healthy aging. As you can see, and these are examples coming from Europe, I don't know whether I can, no, probably I can't. Oh yeah, I can. So this is some information about Europe. I promised you some data. Data are very important to plan and to think about future. You can see that this map explains the expected expected lifespan in Europe for different parts of Europe. You can see that even in Europe, which is very often treated as a unit, the differences are very high, and with the community of Sweden, where the expected healthy life at birth is 70 years, and community of Latvia, where it is more than 50 years, the difference, the gap, is 20 years, in Europe only. So you can imagine that going into other continents, the problem, the challenge, is even more profound. That's why I was talking about thinking globally, but acting locally. If you go to fantastic website, All Data, World All Data, you can see a lot of very important, very informative statistics, which give us the view of what is happening around the world. And here again, you can see green in America, green mostly in North America, green in majority countries of Europe, green in Australia. It means that the people live there longer, much longer than in other parts of the world. The blue ones are the countries which have the shortest lifespan. It means that there are the youngest societies globally. In fact, it means that they will speed up trying to reach the levels of other countries. And the population changes will be the most dramatic, the most dynamic there. So mostly Africa. You can see India, which is located here, with average life expectancy between 64 and 69. 64 for men, 69 for women. 5 years gap in India. Please, if some of you are interested in analyzing data, this website is really mine for very interesting and inspirational information. Geographic trends, global demographic trends are like that. I was talking about it, and since I'm going probably too slow, I will just repeat the information about young Africa, old Europe, and average, let's say, Americas and Eurasia. But this is my favorite graph. And I think this can really be inspiration, but also have to be a subject of a very careful analysis. Here you have global demographic changes between 1950 and 2100. 1950, a lot of people among audience are coming from this time, and around 2100, some of you, a lot of you, I hope, will still live. So you can see how dynamic the global demographic changes appeared. The blue part here covers 1950s. So this is a total population of the globe in 1050. And then there is, on this axis, there are people with their age. So these are people of 90 years old age, 80, 70, etc., etc. And what is the trend? We are somewhere there now, in the middle of this part. So what is very, very much visible here, that not only the population is increasing, not only the age prognostics are giving us a confirmation, but also you can see that there is a change between men and women, and there will be more and more women living longer in future. So this is something that we need to have in mind when thinking about any activity within this area, this multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, cross-sector challenge of the global market. Some of comparisons for regions, I put India here. You can see the structure, the pyramid of population in India in 2020. And if you compare it with the United States, you can see that people in the United States live generally longer. There is a much bigger gap between men and women. That's quite unusual. One could expect that in very developed countries, the lifespan could be very similar because of style of life and all support that we have. But it's not true. And if you look at Nigeria and Guatemala, you can see that these are still very young countries, very young communities, and the changes can be also predicted based on these data. If this is the case, we have to think about growing need for elderly care. Elderly people from 60 plus on need different services, different support, and they expect it from us, from the society. So what are these needs for elderly care if we want to live longer and healthy and healthy? First of all, we have to consider very carefully the demographic trends, as I try to convey it to you. We have to think And this is obviously global. Thinking locally, we have to take into consideration the changing family dynamics, the model of family. Multi-generational family has been changing rapidly. It's going into the direction of 1 or 2 generation model where parents live with their children. So we have to consider this when thinking about a proper care of elderly people. We have to remember that the increasing population of retired people means that there will be a shortage of caregivers. So we have to find a solution how to mobilize the elderly community to help themselves to be involved in some activities of self-help, self-activity, and community activity on local level. There are, of course, very serious economic considerations. It's a challenge, but it's also opportunity, and I will show you opportunities that are connected with solving of this challenge. And there are technological innovations. You could see these innovations in the film that was presented during the opening ceremony. You can see that, and I will try to persuade you that each of these technologies presented during the opening ceremony are crucial, are important if they can be properly used for the elderly society. First of all, innovation, which can work for the elderly society. When the human beings, when we faced COVID, we suddenly noticed that we can use a lot of innovation to support our societies, our communities, and to use these innovations to help to survive, to help to renovate the links that have been reduced during the COVID, the pandemic time. So telemedicine, remote monitoring, something that was only in laboratories of universities, sometimes in startup companies, thinking about telemedicine. Now telemedicine is available everywhere, all around the world. Bill Gates, with his foundation, changed the diagnostics of some cancers using telemedicine with just smartphones like that, because everybody around the world has a smartphone. We use it in a different way. They in Africa use it to remote diagnosis of cancers, of control of pregnancy. So this is the potential area of support of elderly people. Different applications that control their life status, their health, they measure the pressure. Everything can be put in this small and very easily available for everybody, even in rural parts of the globe, places. Smart homes and the use of IoT devices. We want to keep people as long as possible in their natural environment. We don't want to have huge hospitals with huge geriatric departments. But what we want to do, and this is a space for activity of scientists, of entrepreneurs, of innovators, of people who just are involved in the business, to support homes and to support elderly people, with all of these utensils that can help them control their life in their natural environment. But for this, we also need a collaboration between generations. They will not do this on their own. They need support of neighbors, they need support of relatives, they need support of professionals who will control it. Maybe with these smartphones, maybe remotely, but to control and support their stay home. Of course, robots, companionship. It's not vision, it's reality. I will give you some examples from Japan that faces the elderly society in the highest level. Virtual reality. It's not only for games. Virtual reality can be used for teaching and learning, for mental stimulation, and it's already been done in many institutes, there are even devices on the market supporting elderly people. The development of this field, it's a challenge for young generation, for that generation, for you. Age-friendly urban planning. I will also give you a short example. And some other activities you can see here are needed. New innovations, new products, new supports, new procedures, new drugs are needed to support the advancement in elderly care. As I promised, there is a case of Japan now. Japan has already about 1/3 of their society consisting of 65+ people. It means 1/3. For this, they need a lot of innovative activities, and they need to completely restructure the society, restructure the approach to the elderly communities. And here you can see, of course, the challenges. Challenges is the shrinking workspace, and also rising costs of this care. But innovations, they go into robotics, for example. So they are using already. It's not a science fiction. They are using robots to assist elderly. Robots that have incorporated this all knowledge supported by artificial intelligence, robots that can stimulate activity, robots that can control life health, including you can see this new robot, which is built as a seal. It is just for improving mental health of elderly people. They tested in several places where elderly people stay. So this is fuzzy animatronic seal, behaving like human being. Public challenges I was talking about, and the case of the USA, very rich society, big country, and one of the major challenges they face, these are neurodegenerative diseases. As you can see from the graph, totally in American society, it is estimated that there are about 10 million people facing dementia and different kinds of neurodegenerative diseases. It's put here 5.6 million because these are diagnosed people. A lot of people who face first stages of dementia, they are not diagnosed properly. Some of them will never be. Some of them will never be diagnosed. Some of them will stay alone with their diseases because the costs of the service for people with only dementia in the USA were as high as $1.3 trillion per year. $1.3 trillion. Only dementia, only in the USA, in one of the richest societies in the world. We have to take the cost of healthcare very seriously. There is a space for innovation. For innovation, not only the one I was talking before, but also for innovation in procedures, in approaches to the elderly society. Still open space for you in future. As I also mentioned, mental health issues appear in many societies, not only elderly people, but in generally after COVID, we observe the increase of mental health problems, issues. So it's transgenerational problem, but you can see that we estimate that about 15% of adults age 60 plus experience mental health problems. Of course, the reasons of these problems, including, few minutes more. I have 9 minutes for the presentation still. So there are different reasons of this social innovation. You can say this, you can see this, but this is also a challenge and goal for future. Economic burden, economic costs of the longevity are very high. Here you can see the percentage of people, of working populations in societies. In Poland, for example, it's 53% currently. But in India, only 47% of people, 47 people work within the society. It means that these 47 people have to support elderly. So since I was asked to shorten my lecture, let's talk about opportunities in aging and longevity. Where are they? Whether they are unique for different countries, or are they global? I think that the opportunities are global. So if you look at be familiar with the so-called silver economy concept, you will see that within different areas of activity, business, education, innovation, there is a lot of space specially dedicated to services offered to elderly people. And of course, this growth of the silver economy is connected with the increasing amount of services and products offered to elderly people, including drugs, including pharmacological support, including technological support, including societal innovation. But this innovation belong to so many different categories I was talking about in between. And something that is usually asked, how can we use artificial intelligence, whether we can use? Yes, we can, and we are using it already. We are using artificial intelligence in different areas to support elderly people, to build up modern and novel applications, novel support for the utensils that elderly people use and are familiar with. And we use not only our human brains, researchers' brains, but we also use artificial intelligence to support elderly care. I will not go through this. I can say only that there is a global strategy on healthy aging that was published a few years ago. And the aim of this strategy is to improve functional ability and health systems globally. And you can see that there are different areas of action, including leadership, including evidence generation, and including community support. And the goal of the World Health Organization is to increase access to essential, high-quality, safe, effective, and affordable medical products. Affordable is very important because we have to remember that not each country can support their elderly citizens as the European countries do or Americans do when they are lucky and have good retirement scheme, because it's not available to everybody. Role of technology is quite obvious. Smart cities. This is something that I really do believe in, since majority of population will live in cities. We have to think about changing the structure, rebuilding the structure of our cities to become elderly friendly. And these are so-called smart cities with all of these services I was talking about earlier located within the community. A fantastic project is run in Manchester. In Manchester, they try to use all of these technologies that I was talking about to rebuild Manchester, industrial city. Of course, the role of medical professionals cannot be overestimated. It's not only the question of doctors, it's a question of nurses, it's a question of social workers, but it's also a question of proper approach of all society. And it involves also safety and legal issues when talking about this open access of different institutions to elderly people. I would like to point once again a strong accent on transgeneration local contacts, which cannot be overestimated. And just summarizing to take away, I think that the increasing lifespan, longevity, is a huge success of humans. It's the success of lifestyle, it's success of medicine, it's success of the changing conditions of our life supported by technologies. The process of aging is irreversible. So the challenge of aging society is a never-ending story. It's not just current fantasy. It will be increasing with years. And it causes challenges and threats, of course, but it also creates huge opportunities on global and local markets, and opportunities for young generation, for your generation. We have to stress one more thing I did not talk about. It's lifestyle and lifestyle conditions, which have a great impact on healthy aging and on longevity. And as the last and the very important takeaway, I think that cross-generation solidarity, understanding of the needs of elderly population, as well as understanding of requirements and expectations and ambitions of young generations, are so important factor to face this global challenge. And one of my favorite quotations is quotation coming from the 26th President of the United States. Theodore Roosevelt said that old age is everything like everything else. To make success of it, you've got to start young. So this is, I think, the summary of my lecture. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much for listening to me and my lecture.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Vosnik, for a wonderful presentation. Of course, we are worried about aging, but India, in terms of its demographic advantage, we are the young countries. I think your presentation certainly has led to thinking about what happens when you age and how do we actually take care of that. The paucity of time, what I feel is we can take a question together once our two more speakers speaks, and then I think at the end we can take a collective questions. Thank you.
Okay, I will be available anytime, or you can also contact me when you want. Probably in future, I think there is one more slide demonstrating the possibility of contact me if you want. And to say goodbye, it is Eva. It's a mural welcoming students and visitors at our campus in Łódź. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great, wonderful. Now I request all the venue requester to kindly take a seat. Request all the venue in charges to please go physical. So we will be having another lecture, none other than the greatest scientist of Goan origin, Dr. Anil Kakodkar, sir. To introduce sir, I'm very honored and very fortunate to be here to introduce such a great personality. I'm very happy that my association with sir has started 1.5 years back, and I have enjoyed working with him, and his knowledge has actually enriched me as a scientist. To introduce Dr. Anil Kakodkar, Padma Vibhushan, Dr. Anil Kakodkar, born on 11th November of 1943, joined the Bhabha Atomic Research Center in the year 1964. Following the 1-year postgraduate training with top rank in nuclear science and technology in the then Atomic Energy Establishment, he became the director of BARC in the year 1996 and was the chairman, Atomic Energy Commission, and secretary to the Government of India, Department of Atomic Energy during the year 2000 to 2009. He was DHE Homi Bhabha Chair, professor during the year 2010 to 2015, and INAE Satish Dhawan Chair of Engineering Eminence during January 2015 to January 2017. Currently, he is AICTE Distinguished Post Chair Professor. Dr. Kakodkar obtained his BE in Mechanical Engineer degree from Bombay University in 1963 and MSc in the Experimental Stress Analysis from Nottingham University in the year 1969. Dr. Kakodkar has worked for the development of the atomic energy program in India throughout his professional life. Focus on his work has been on self-reliant development of nuclear reactor system to address the Indian program requirements. Undeterred by the restrictions imposed by the international community, he succeeded in developing various systems for the pressurized heavy water reactor, in the building of Dhruva reactors starting from the conceptual stage, in rehabilitation of Madras Atomic Power Station Unit 1 and 2, both of which at one stage appear to be on the verge of being written off following failure of moderators inlet manifolds. In conceptualization and development of advanced heavy water reactor that realizes the next generation objective through innovation configuration at present day technology beside use of thorium and such other technology systems. Utilization of our vast thorium resources for energy production has received special attention under Dr. Kakotkar's leadership. He has created a roadmap for shaping the third stage of India's nuclear power program aimed at tapping vast energy potential of our thorium resources, not only as a source of electricity production, but also as a primary source for other form of energy use. A number of new technology areas such as accelerator-driven systems, high-temperature reactors, materials and recycling technology, etc., have been nucleated for this purpose. Dr. Kakotkar continued to actively involved in programs related to augmentation of thorium utilization in our nuclear power program and for development of non-fossil primary energy sources for meeting our overall energy need. Dr. Kakotkar has been a key contributor to India's strategic program. He was among the chosen few involved in the first successful peaceful nuclear explosion experimentation in India conducted on May 18 of 1974 at Pokhran. And later, he played a key role in series of successful nuclear tests conducted during May 1998. Again at Pokhran, India also demonstrated nuclear submarine power through technology under Dr. Kakotkar's leadership. Very happy and fortunate to have you, sir, here. And may I request, sir, to please speak on a subject of thorium. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Sujit. Ladies and gentlemen, we just heard an excellent presentation on recognizing an important challenge before the humanity, the issue of aging, and how science and technology can be leveraged. And I'm sure all the young colleagues here must have seen the connection between the technological developments that have taken place and that are taking place with in addressing this important problem. I want to talk about another important problem that is facing humanity. And that's a question of, call it meeting the energy needs of developing world, or call it protecting ourselves against climate change, or call it a sustainability issue in terms of the needs of energy of the humankind. Whichever way you look at it, it's an important challenge to deal with. And we know that, for example, going to jungle, getting the firewood for cooking energy is an age-old practice. It still continues in many places where the modern energy is not available in the kitchens. We're also aware of the energy from the water that falls from our higher elevation to lower elevation, and its use in generating energy. That's also quite old. And it's still quite modern. Hydro energy is quite modern, so it continues. But energy transitions do keep taking place. And that's because sometimes there is a question whether the growing energy needs can be met by the current energy resources. Sometimes the energy sources and their use itself creates problem. For example, today the largest source of energy is fossil energy, coal, oil, gas, and we are all concerned about the carbon footprint that energy use with these forms of energy leaves. And then, the problem as serious as climate change has emerged, which is threatening our own very existence. So come to our nuclear energy. In chemical energy, you get energy from the electrons which are moving around the nucleus of an atom. And you change in the position of electrons, there is either an excess energy which you tap and use, or sometimes to make those changes in electronic position, you have to provide energy. There are exothermic reactions, there are endothermic reactions. Likewise, if you change the structure of particles within the nucleus, again you have change in energy. Again, there are endothermic nuclear reactions. They are not called that way, but just to demonstrate the similarity I am talking about. Or there could be exothermic reactions in the sense they will release a lot of energy. But there is an order of magnitude, or for that matter, 6 orders of magnitude difference. Electrons, when they change their position on the atomic shells, the energy involved is in electron volts. The nucleons, the particles within the nucleus, when there is how does it work? It doesn't work. The particles which they work, how are you able to do? So, as I was saying, the particles within the nucleus, the nucleons, neutrons, protons, when they get rearranged, the energy release or absorption is of the order of millions of electron volts. So there is a million degrees. So the point is, a nuclear reaction produces 6 or 7 orders of magnitude more energy than a normal chemical reaction. And so from a sustainability perspective, it's very important. 1 kilogram of coal burning or fissile crude oil or petroleum or diesel burning, whatever energy would produce, with nuclear energy, for example, fission energy, same 1 kilogram of a nuclear fissile material would produce maybe a couple of hundred million or a couple of 100 million times that energy. And so from sustainability perspective, the usage of the earth or the materials available on earth, it becomes that much less. And while we are all concerned about atomic energy, there is a scare about atomic energy, people are afraid of radiation, and I'll talk about that later. But the point to recognize is, from a sustainable perspective, availability of energy from the nucleus of an atom will be far more long-lasting than any other source of energy that we currently have. And this is important for us to recognize going forward. The second aspect, which again, if I can connect it with the previous lecture, we talked about aging, we heard about aging, and how the life expectancy or the parameter which they call life expectancy at birth has gone up as the development went forward. Now, we all aspire to be developed country, or we all aspire to be enjoying a quality of life comparable with what exists in developed country or what exists in America, Western Europe, and so on. Now, that means the Human Development Index in our country must be comparable with the best. Now, this graph or the correlation here, it shows how the energy use, per capita energy use is correlated with the Human Development Index. You have Human Development Index here and energy consumption on this axis. And when we talk about developed countries, high Human Development Index, we are talking about being there. The horizontal line represented by the blue triangles, countries which have very high quality of life. We want to be there, and we are somewhere here at this moment. Now, you want to be there, you must reach an energy consumption at least equal to the minimum that is required to be there. And so that much additional energy we must have access in India. It's as simple as that. Now that, accounting for the efficiency improvement and many other factors, if you sort of combine it together, it will translate into India requiring 28,000 terawatt hours per year of energy. Because once you get that, you will reach here. You will reach here. Now, how much energy do we have? We, of course, have plenty of energy if we are free to use all our coal, all our oil, which, of course, we have to import from global market. But then we are concerned with climate change, and we are talking about clean energy transition. And so we are talking about restricting only to clean energy resources. The renewable energy, hydro energy, these are classical clean energy resources. If you put that together, because we have to now talk about how much solar insolation is there on Indian landmass, for example. How much of wind energy potential is there on Indian landmass? How much of hydro potential is there? Now, if you put all that together, it will add to something like 8,000 terawatt hours maximum. So the difference between 28,000 terawatt hours and 8,000 terawatt hours has to be bridged for us to be developed, for us to fulfill our aspiration to be among the developed countries. And take it from me, there is no other answer but to resort to atomic energy. And this gap is not small. This gap is, we are talking about 2.5 times the available clean energy minus nuclear. So that's the importance of nuclear energy. Now, today we consume something like 6,580 terawatt hours of energy. So, if I were to say that I want to convert the current energy use to green energy or clean energy, that of course is possible without nuclear. But then that doesn't allow us to improve our developmental status. That doesn't allow us to improve the Human Development Index beyond a level. And so, I know there are fears, I know there are apprehensions, and I'll deal with that in a moment. But I think we must understand that we must develop capability in developing nuclear energy to fulfill our developmental aspirations. Now, I talked about nuclear reactions. Some of the important nuclear reactions are shown here. This is the classic fission reaction, which produces, splits an atom, but also produces plenty of neutrons. Beta decays, it will end up in uranium-233, which you can again extract fission energy just the same way as you did from uranium-235. Or for that matter, the uranium-238, the larger component, again there it captures neutron and becomes plutonium, which is also fissile after 2 beta decays. Now, if you do that, then you are actually increasing the energy potential in these materials by maybe 2 orders of magnitude. 100 or at least 70, 80, 100 times more. And if you do that, then I think there is enough energy to meet the requirements of the world. And then, of course, hopefully one day fusion energy will come on the horizon, and then we'll have abundant energy to make sure that the entire world, just like we talk about Vikasit Bharat, we can talk about Vikasit universe or Vikasit world. That is possible. But that's a technological challenge. I must point out that today we are not there. Today we are talking about once through use of uranium. And of course, that's the way it has to become. There is no other way we can begin with this technology. But that is not going to be enough for us. And that's where thorium becomes important, because it's equally large resource as uranium. And if we can exploit thorium, which is not possible without carrying out these other reactions, you can as well exploit the rest of uranium, which is also equally large. So that's broadly what Dr. Bhabha visualized in designing India's atomic energy program. And he designed what is known as the 3-stage nuclear program, where you begin with uranium reactors, go to fast reactors, where then you can multiply the fissile material, and then go to thorium reactors, and you can see the total energy that you can get. First stage, 300 gigawatt years. That is based on the uranium available in India. So that's not very large. But you go to fast reactors, you can get much more, around 4,000 gigawatt years. And if you go to thorium, you can get even more, around 155,000 gigawatt years. Now, this is the program we have been working on, and we have made good progress. I will talk about that in a moment. But this program was designed assuming that we'll have only very limited amount of uranium that India had. At that time, it was difficult for us to get access to the uranium available in the rest of the world. We couldn't buy uranium from world market. Today we can. So now we also have the possibility of a parallel path. You have the first stage reactor, but then instead of natural uranium, you load so what is known as somewhat enriched uranium, high assay enriched uranium, and use it along with thorium in heavy water reactors. And the output, you get energy, you can get something like 2,500 gigawatt So the first stage, instead of 300 gigawatts, you will get nearly 8 times or 10 times more energy right in the first stage. And then the spent fuel will contain material which can straight away go to third stage and then get the remaining energy there. And I think today we have the possibility of pursuing both these paths in parallel, and so we can leapfrog that easily. Also, the delays in second stage and third stage, to some extent, we can compensate. So the workhorse for the first stage is this classic pressurized heavy water reactor. I'm not going to kind of load you with the details of this design, but schematically, it's like, any other power station. You have a coal burning plant, then you generate steam in the boiler of that plant, and then run turbine on that steam, and that turbine drives the generator, you get electricity. In a nuclear plant, you replace the boiler with nuclear reactor, and the rest of it remains more or less the same. So now, world over, people practice this, what are known as light water reactors, PWRs, BWRs. Because we wanted to be very efficient in uranium, and also because we wanted to build a 3-stage program beginning with modest quantities of uranium, we in India preferred heavy water reactors. We started with Canadian cooperation, but today I can tell you that we do possess, and this is something which my Canadian friends themselves came and told me, that we actually have moved ahead in terms of development of this technology, and you can see the evolution of this technology in different phases. First the 220 megawatts, then the 540 megawatts, and then the 700 megawatts. And the capacity under operation, capacity under construction is all written there. Now, as I mentioned to you, if we just restrict ourselves to uranium, then there are limits. That limit is something like, for example, if I say that I will be able to make use of 10% of world's uranium, and we can't aspire to be more because then total uranium is for the whole world. If you start making demand for larger uranium, it will have its own, economic dynamics. Prices will become volatile, and also, uranium is, uranium transactions are also, there are geopolitics involved with that. It's not so easy. So, but in spite of that, if you assume that, let's say, we can get 10% of world's uranium, and in once-through mode, that is only PHWR, we will be able to support something like 50 gigawatts for 50 years. That is the 2,500 gigawatt years I mentioned. Now, 50 gigawatts are woefully inadequate to meet our requirements, because the 20,000 terawatt hours to come from nuclear, which I mentioned, that would correspond to something like 2,500 gigawatts. So there is no way restricting ourselves to PHWR with once-through uranium will allow us to go to that level. So thorium is the answer, as I mentioned already. And luckily we have all the technologies. So I think our next move now should be to switch over to thorium. And incidentally, quite apart from addressing this long-term challenge, you get many short-term advantages, which I have listed there. These are technical terms, but just to simplify, I would say it makes sure that the safety of the systems improves significantly because of the properties, thermophysical properties of thorium as compared to uranium. More importantly, it becomes proliferation resistant. And we are all concerned if we reprocess, if we recycle, there will be issues of diversion of fissile material for weapons purposes, and that will make the world more insecure. If you use thorium, then the fissile material get accompanied with some products which will make the diversion for weapons purposes very difficult. And so, while these materials become available for the energy requirement of the world at large or India at large, but it becomes difficult for anybody to use this material for weapons purposes. So that's, I think, is a big advantage if we start making use of thorium. And then there are these other advantages. The so-called world is moving towards designing reactors which are accident tolerant. The fuel should be accident tolerant, and thorium certainly helps in that direction itself. And more importantly, in spite of all that advantages, you also get economic advantage. Normally, everything comes at a cost. Here you do that, you will also get some economic benefits. So that's the beauty of using thorium or starting using thorium. Now, so that's I think this technology which will address India's problem, but going forward, I think it will also be useful for addressing global problems. But then we have this concern. Everybody is worried about accidents. Everybody is worried about fear of radiation. So one simple answer, particularly for young students, stated simply, the fear of radiation is because it causes cancer. So I of course ask that, well, okay, how do you cure cancer? You cure cancer by using chemotherapy, followed by surgery, and a combination of chemotherapy, surgery, and there is one important kind of treatment protocol, and that is radiation therapy. So, somebody may say radiation causes cancer. I say radiation cures cancer. And both are true. And it is not hard to understand. It is true with everything. Extreme heat causes burns, causes burn injuries. But if you get a little sprain in the body or something, you fall down or something, your grandmother, as well as the modern hospital, they will make sure that, either techniques like diathermy, infrared warming, or in the house, hot water bag, it cures. So heat burns, heat cures. Exactly same way radiation causes cancer, or radiation burns and radiation cures. So the message is, it depends on at what level you get exposed to, whether you understand how to control that exposure, whether it is to heat, whether it is to radiation. Now, what is the level of radiation one sees in the normal use? So this is a chart, essentially at different, and this is a logarithmic scale, here is 0.1, 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. So it's not linear scale, logarithmic scale. Now, the limit of dose to public is at this level, let's say, 1 millisievert. Okay? Any harm that can come as a result of radiation is somewhere here. First signs of radiation effects. So this is at around 500, and the normal use with nuclear reactors, the actual dose from nuclear power plants per year, if somebody is sitting at the plant boundary continuously for 1 year, so that is here. So there is a factor of something like 1 order of magnitude more than 10 to the 4. 4 orders of magnitude gap is there. So when Chernobyl happened, it is, everybody talks about fear, and of course a lot of displacement happened. People were forced to migrate to safer places. Fukushima also same thing happened. Over a period of time they returned. And of course it has created a big public drama in the minds of public. Now the reality is that you could have saved a large part of that damage. It has that mass movement or mass exodus which we forced on people. It has created several psychosomatic effects, and there are reports made by international team of doctors which have actually said that those psychosomatic effects, that harm is much more than the harm of radiation. So much so, there is a recent news item which I would draw your attention to. It's a item titled "Drama Before Data: Lies of Chernobyl." Now it's a news item, so you can take this with the same level of credibility as you take other. But you take all sides of this story. Now you can actually go around Chernobyl plant where all this happened, and you can now take a Chernobyl tour. The wildlife is thriving. There are 4 reactors. Reactor 4 underwent an accident, but the reactors 1, 2, and 3 continue to operate after Unit 4 went offline, and they went on to provide enough energy for 2 million homes, or about 5 million people. It's happening even today. Now the Chernobyl domain, the wildlife there is actually thriving. Just like you go to other reserved forests or protected, you can make a trip to Chernobyl. Of course, the negative stories also keep appearing, but now he's saying that there is enough data and there is enough evidence to. He says Chernobyl's story as a catastrophe is a farce by any account of reasonable and rational introspection. So I think mankind, when we are moving, we are trying to address the existential threat of climate change. If this threat continues, the existence of humanity itself will be at stake. And as I told you, the only other way is to resort to nuclear energy, and that too in recycle mode, when you can make use of available thorium as well as uranium resources. And that is what is going to provide enough energy. So the point is, there is, of course, more work to do. So as stock taking, what we have done, India's technology, in spite of the embargoes and restrictions, we have self-reliance in this technology. we of course had a security problem. So we are a nuclear weapon country now. So on one side protected. But India's stand of a nuclear weapon-free world remains. We've been saying that before, and we continue to say that even today. We also have technology of nuclear submarines. Our triad is complete. We have the PHWR technology. I showed you so many reactors operating in the country, all home-built, completely, all value addition in the country. We now have, because of our civil nuclear cooperation with the world, we have access to uranium. So we can go on compared to what we were earlier doing, but that's not sufficient. That's the point I'm trying to make. And so we need to close the first stage of this fuel cycle by way of adopting recycle. We are working on fast breeder reactor, the second stage, very close to commissioning of that. But then we have to go on with the third stage of thorium and the related fuel cycle stages. But more importantly, there are other challenges, and that is the share of nuclear energy has to increase. It is much lower. Similarly, the spent fuel inventory, which is accumulating with use of natural uranium, is of course large because the burn-up is low. So we should start using thorium that will allow you to go to high burn-up again. And so thorium deployment at scale is an important thing, and we must accelerate that path. And so, as I mentioned, you should develop technologies for fast breeders with short doubling time. Nuclear reactors can also be designed to produce hydrogen, high temperature. And today hydrogen production means electrolyzers. I can tell you that's a more expensive way of producing hydrogen. You use the high temperature heat and you will produce hydrogen at a much cheaper cost. And for that you need to close the fuels. So I think there are things to do, and it is for the young generation to kind of complete the remaining task for India to be among the Viksit Bharat. So that's what brings me to the closure of this talk. Just to repeat or takeaways by way of a closing remark. Uranium imports, though possible now, are unlikely to be able to support a program larger than around 50 gigawatts, whereas India's size and requirement is maybe an order of magnitude larger than that. Now, we also have domestic uranium, and the problem is that also can probably support this level, 50 gigawatts. But it's a low-grade ore, so uranium is more expensive. But then it's not cost competitive because of its low grade. But in spite of that, as a result of low grade, but it enables us to de-risk the fuel supply chain disruption, because uranium is a sensitive issue. And of course, it meets our important strategic needs. Closed fuel cycle and early deployment of thorium utilization is therefore a must. And so we should quickly introduce the HALU, high assay, low enriched uranium, and thorium fuel in PHWR to enable making that start. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for such an exciting presentation. And of course, energy is something that is so crucial for humankind. At the same time, it's also an indicator of a developed nation. Thank you, and we will be getting into a third technical session. Once the third technical session is over, we will have a question and answer for all our esteemed speaker. The third technical session is being delivered by the Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Awardee, Dr. Mohit Kumar Jolly, whom you have seen in the morning, and he has been, he's a young person. He's been working on a very important science and research project. I am very happy to introduce Dr. Jolly here. Dr. Mohit Kumar Jolly is an associate professor in the Department of Bioengineering at the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, India. He obtained his BTech and MTech in biological sciences and bioengineering from IIT Kanpur and his PhD in bioengineering from Rice University, USA. He has made seminal contributions in understanding how cancer cells adapt to various stresses and drive therapy failure in patients. He has been recognized as an outstanding alumni by both IIT Kanpur and Rice University, USA. He is a recipient of multiple awards such as Indian National Science Academy, Young Scientist Medal in 2022, International Center for Theoretical Physics Prize in 2023, and Arthur T. Winfrey Prize Award by Society for Mathematical Biology in 2024. And in 2024 December, he has been also awarded one of the prestigious award in the name of Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Award. Very happy to invite you, Dr. Jolly, and request you to kindly continue with your presentation.
Thank you very much for that very kind introduction. And it is an absolute honor to be recognized with this prestigious award, which of course is in the honor of late Shri Manohar Parrikar ji. It's also such an honor to share the stage with such distinguished academicians and those who have contributed to nation building in dramatic manners. So you already heard about two of the global challenges in the context of aging, in the context of energy. And I'll talk about one of the other challenges, which is a major biomedical question, which impacts many, many lives, increasingly so in India as well. If there's one thing which I would want the students here to take home after about 30 minutes, is that all these challenges that you heard about, and I'll present an example from our own work as well, is that all these challenges need solutions across different disciplines. No one single discipline, no one single expertise, no one single individual is going to be able to actually manage all these different challenges. So no matter what your current background might be, what your current interest might be in science, you still could learn other fields, learn other disciplines, and more importantly, also, instead of reinventing the wheel, synergize your efforts with other colleagues, other experts across different disciplines, and then you could have outcomes which are emergent properties. So what we have been working on is thinking about cancer as a complex adaptive system, and I'll go into details of what I mean by that. So I'll begin with talking about where cancer treatment stands, what are the challenges that we have right now, give you a glimpse of some of the work we have done, and then end with some of the reflections of what I have learned or realized in this journey as a young scientist. Now, this is a book I read in summer 2012, just before starting my PhD. And this book was sufficient to motivate me to work in the field of cancer further. It's a wonderful popular science book. If many of students who have not read it, I would recommend you to read this. It documents the history of cancer over multiple centuries, when it was first observed, what are the current treatment strategies, what across different civilizations, across different societies. And cancer is still called as the emperor of all maladies because we have not yet been able to completely tackle this disease. Now, what is cancer? Cancer is not one disease. Cancer is actually a group of diseases with two generic properties. One is that cells grow in an uncontrolled manner, In normal scenarios, every cell in the body has a mandate to not grow after a certain number of times. When that mandate is disrespected due to various perturbations that happen in the system, that is when we get cancer. And another property that many cancer cells have is that they no longer remain restricted to where it is. It initiated in the body, but actually spreads to other different organs of the body as well. Now, this is a property which other diseases usually do not have. If it's a heart disease, it will stay in the heart. If it's a lung disease, it will stay in the lung. It will not directly go and lodge itself in different parts of the body and begin to disrupt the functions of the body. So here is an example. These are, this is the liver, and what you see as patches here are pancreatic cancer cells which have moved to the liver. Okay? Now, how does this movement happen? This movement largely happens through blood vessels, which are spread all over the body. So cancer cells in one organ would enter the circulatory system, travel all over the body, keep making exits at different organs of the body, and can also grow at other parts of the body. Now, this is just some data in terms of prevalence. So this is how the number of cases have been increasing in the United States over past 50 years. Number of projected cancer cases also larger. So this is about 26 million cases projected in the next 15 years or so. Also, number of cases in India have been growing, and next year, at least 15 lakh cases are expected to show up. Now, what is also worth noting is that despite the increasing number of cases in the US, what you do not see is a large increase in the number of deaths that happen due to cancer. So this is still hovering around 6 lakh deaths per year, 600,000 deaths. But in India, we already have more deaths than that despite having small number of cases. Now, this could be due to multiple reasons. The diagnosis is later, the treatment options are limited, we are perhaps not able to afford all treatments, so on and so forth. There's a large list of cases, but clearly it is no longer a US problem. This is impacting our country day in and day out. And this speaks for itself. As per a recent report, 1 in 9 individuals in India are likely to develop cancer throughout their lifetime, right? So there is a large population of students sitting here. 1 in every row is going to perhaps develop cancer eventually. That is the statistics that we have right now. So what are the current treatment therapies? You already got introduced to radiotherapy earlier by Dr. Kakotkar. So the first therapy, the first set of therapies, which was pioneered much earlier, is of course surgery, where you basically excise the part of the organ which has tumor. When X-rays were discovered, then of course came radiation therapy around the turn of the century. Around World War II, also discovery of chemotherapy. Now, all these therapies, as you can see, are more generic in nature. You have to localize where to give the therapy, and that is how this works. But in the 1980s, we started having what is called targeted therapy, which means that now this particular set of molecules is going to bind to specific molecules which are present predominantly on cancer cells, and that is why this is more specific, this is more targeted. And around 15 years ago, we also started having immunotherapy in the clinic, where the general idea is that you do not directly target the cancer cell, you actually over-enthuse or over-activate your immune system and say, please go kill the cancer cells which are around, right? This also got the Nobel Prize in 2018. Now, if we have such diverse options over a period of a century and a half that you just saw, why have we not been able to conquer this disease? And there are multiple reasons behind it, which I'll try to highlight. So let's look at what are the different stages of cancer progression, right? So initially, when tumor initiates in 1 or more cells of the body, then it begins to grow. Because it grows, these cells grow much faster as compared to normal cells. They begin to disrupt the structure of the organ, and it no longer remains restricted, but it actually spreads to other parts of the body, a process called as metastasis. Now, the time scale that you see here depends on which cancer we are talking about, which treatment it was given, etc. But what I want to highlight here is the acceleration in the process that happens once it starts to spread. Once it starts to spread, then, of course, the time that a patient has goes down dramatically, because multiple organs are being impacted, and that leads to multiple organ failure eventually. So what is the progress that we have made as a community in the past 5 to 6 decades? We now have much better tests, and going back to also the first talk, much better tests to diagnose the disease earlier. So that's a technological advancement. And we also have more molecular understanding of what genes are involved in accelerating or deaccelerating cancer. And again, going back to the concepts of lifestyle, what lifestyle factors may increase the rate of getting cancer. But as you would notice, all these particular steps largely restrict themselves to the first stages of cancer progression. We have not made any major breakthroughs once in terms of curing metastasis, in terms of restricting cancer once it begins to spread. And that is where our research currently focuses on. Metastasis remains the cause of 90% or more cancer-related deaths. Now, when I started walking into these, thinking about these questions, one thing which was very surprising to me was that if you think about the most common type of cancers, such as prostate cancer, lung cancer, liver cancer, breast cancer, these cells do not have the intrinsic property to move. All these organs, these are not red blood cells which will traverse throughout the body. These are specific organs in a specific geometry, in a specific organization, specific structure, and the function of each of these cells is to maintain that, right? Now, how do these cells then begin to move? How do they know where to go? How do they settle in a completely different environment, biochemically, biophysically, etc.? Those are the kinds of questions we have been looking at. Now, what are the challenges in developing drugs against metastasis, right? How many of you students sitting here have seen any parts of Harry Potter movies? Harry Potter movie series? Excellent. So the first scene that you see here is close to the first scene of the first movie, right? And this scene that you see here is close to the last scene of the last movie. If I were to give you only these two scenes, these two images, and ask you, tell me what happened in between. You have not seen the movies, you just are given these two scenes. Just based on these two images, we will not be able to say anything conclusively about what happened in between. You don't even know if the people in scene 1 are the same as people in scene 2. This is where metastasis research is right now. You have the primary tumor, which is where cancer originated. You have metastatic tumor. Once patient has developed metastasis, you can biopsy it and get an image. You have no clue whether it's the same cells who reach. There are new kinds of cells that originated after therapy. Therapy might also give rise to other questions, right? So these are all open questions. The dynamics is very, very poorly understood. When and why do cells leave? Who forces cells to leave? What is the criteria? Why do they go? How do they decide where to go? Do they go as single cells? Do they go as clusters? All these are open questions. We have some answers, of course, but not to the stage that we can begin to develop therapies. Which organs do they stop by? And how much time it takes for them to grow clinically notable metastasis, right? So in stark contrast to the previous talk that you heard, where we have detailed quantitative information about how a chain reaction is going to proceed. You can control the amount of power being generated and use that precise calculation for developing plants, power plants. We have very limited quantitative understanding of how exactly this happens, and without numbers, you cannot make actual predictions. There's another unsolved challenge in cancer treatment, which is drug tumor relapse, right? So even if it is not metastasis, cancer can come back at the same organ. And here is an example. This is melanoma, which is skin cancer. So this is pre-treatment. That's why you see all these lesions or all these spots present in this patient. 15 weeks after therapy, you notice that these lesions have largely disappeared, but only 8 weeks later, in presence of the therapy being continued, cancer comes back. Okay? Just 8 weeks, just 2 months. What goes on here is very, again, largely speaking, very poorly understood. Are there pre-existing resistant cells? There were some cells which just did not respond to this therapy that was given, but they're pre-existing and their number was small enough so that they could not grow a lesion, but once given an opportunity, they again blow up. Or does the treatment itself gives rise to new kinds of cellular behaviors which then allow the cancer to adapt further, and so on and so forth. Now let's think about the dynamics of cancer metastasis a little bit more quantitatively. So I'll have a few questions, and it would be very much appreciated if students can participate in this. So the first question is, let's say 10,000 cells leave a primary tumor. Primary tumor is where the cancer originates. how many of them will complete metastasis? Any guesses? How many of you think that it will be 50% or more cells which will form metastasis? Our body is of the order of 10 to the power 14, 10 to the power 15 cells. Let's say 10 power 4 cells, 10,000 cells leave a primary tumor together or at different points. How many cells will complete metastasis? How many of you think it will be 50% or more? Okay, 10% to 50%. Okay, 1 to 10%. Okay. Less than 1%. The correct answer is 0.01%. 1 in 10,000 cells which leaves primary tumor is able to form metastasis on average. It is such an inefficient process, yet we still don't know how to target them. Right? Imagine what would have been the scenario if this were a more efficient process. Okay? So these experiments are of course done. You inject cells into the bloodstream in mice, and then you see over as a function of time how many cells eventually grow tumors. And of course, in this experiment, you already injected the cells in the bloodstream. So you skip one more step, which is the part of getting into the bloodstream, which would reduce the efficiency even further. Okay? Now, the journey of metastasis is, if you think from the perspective of a cancer cell, is a very challenging journey. Right? Think about, a cancer cell, individual cancer cell, which leaves their home organ, traverses the bloodstream, where the environment is constantly changing, where the immune system is trying to attack it, where the drugs that you're being given, the patient is being given in the clinic is trying to attack it, so on and so forth. And the oxygen levels are changing, everything is changing very, very dynamically. How do cells adapt, right? How? So one fundamental property which helps the cells or us as individuals succeed when we traverse through changing environments is adaptability. How fast we are able to sense and respond to what is happening to us, right? And this adaptability, again, this is, you could take it any particular context. Also, as Charles Darwin alluded, the species that is most adaptable to change is the one that is going to be strongest. Because fitness of a population, of an individual, be it, again, going back to the talk on longevity, be it the fitness of an individual, be it the fitness of a society, it is going to depend on the environment. You cannot define fitness without an environment, right? So, and when you talk about environment, you think about adaptability to that environment, right? Next question. How many of you think that every cancer cell is equally adaptable? So 1 in 10 power 4 is able to do that. How many of you think this answer is yes? Every cancer cell is equally adaptable. Okay, so everyone thinks it's no. That's the correct answer, but how do we figure this out? What experiments one would need to do? Because in that, so if every cell is equally adaptable, probably it's even more difficult scenario. Thankfully, some cells are less adaptable. So all we need to do is understand the ones which are more adaptable and then go ahead and try to reduce their adaptability, right? So these kinds of experiments were done where, again, I'll, without going into technical details, I'll give a sort of analogy, is that if you try to figure out what is the, is every student in class equally good? The answer is clearly no. How do you figure it out? You basically segregate the class into, at the end of the day, one single student who is not able to interact with everyone else, and give them the same exam, and then see what is the distribution of marks. Right? That's what happens in exams. Exact similar experiments were done in cancer in mice, and they showed that some cancer cells could grow many more metastases and some could grow much less metastases. So clearly, every cell is not equally adaptable as well. So what we know so far is that cancer cells are heterogeneous. They have different personalities. And this is, the technical term for this is called phenotypic heterogeneity. So heterogeneity means variability, and phenotype means the behavior. And we also know that cancer cells can be adaptable. They can change their identity with time. A cancer cell which is more efficient in using oxygen at time X might be less efficient in using oxygen in time X plus 1 because it lost this property and it tried to gain some other property which was more important for it to survive in the new environment that has come up, right? So clearly these properties of adaptability, or plasticity is the technical term for it, and heterogeneity are playing a crucial role in relapse and drug resistance? And these are the kinds of questions that we'll be looking at. Now let's go back to all therapies that we talked about. Surgery, radiation therapy, targeted therapy, chemotherapy, immunotherapy. All of them have some assumptions, okay? And I'll try to highlight those assumptions and the impact of those assumptions. So let's say that we were able to completely profile a tumor. Now there is advanced technologies, you can measure every single molecule with very high resolution, right? So let's say you say, I'm going to take the tumor of a patient and measure whatever different molecules I want to measure and say there are 4 different kinds of cells present in a tumor. And I also have targeted therapy for all 4 of them. We are not there yet as a community, but let's say that even if we reach this stage 10 years from now, what are the challenges? First of all, we are assuming that every red cell in this schematic is going to respond identically to the given drug and will have one and only one outcome, which is cell death. That's clearly not the case. You can do these experiments in the lab, you can grow cells, cancer cells in the lab, you can give whatever drug you want, whatever concentration you want. It is never going to happen that every single cell dies, okay, right? The other property, the other assumption we are making is that no drug is able to induce the transition of one red cell to become a blue cell, right? What is drug? Drug at the end of the day is a stress. Stress can induce changes in behavior. We are not assuming that. We are also not considering that cells might actually talk to each other. Cells might cooperate with each other. There is ample evidence of this in the literature that cancer behaves as an ecosystem. There is an ecology. There are some cells which do half the job and the other cells do the other job. So again, the fitness is not defined at a single cell, but at a population level. Now, when you take all these assumptions together, what you reduce cancer to is a static, non-adaptive system. But in reality, it is a dynamic adaptive system. And a point to make here is, let's go back around 25 years when anti-angiogenesis therapies were being tried out. What is angiogenesis? Angiogenesis, as the name suggests, is the growth of new blood vessels. Cancer cells can grow new blood vessels so that they can get access to oxygen and nutrients. So the idea was, let's block that growth and we can cure cancer. These drugs were developed, clinical trials were started, and in a subset of patients who received these drugs, they started dying faster than patients who did not receive this drug. It was the exact opposite outcome. Now we know one of the reasons why that was happening was that in a subset of patients, these drugs were inducing metastasis. Because if you deprive cancer cells of what they need to grow, they'll figure it out a different way. They'll just go to different parts of the body. At the end of the day, these are our own cells, right? You might have heard of liver as the most regenerative organ in the body. You can chop off a significant proportion of the liver and it grows back. Why? Because there's adaptability in the system. That's how it has been designed. So are the cancer cells. This is not some infection. This is our own cells which have stopped following some rules. So we need to respect that these are adaptive systems and not dumb cells which are waiting for a signal from us to die. Now, how can mathematical models help, right? So think of any complex system, say weather prediction, right? At the end of the day, it's a prediction. And we reasonably trust these predictions. Why? Because we have curated these models extensively over generations so that you have taken the data, you have understood basic ideal gas laws, Newton laws, and so on, and then use that model to constantly match the new data being collected so that you reach an iterative stage where we are right now. Can we reach this stage of this prediction in cancer treatment? Maybe a few decades down the line is the goal. So what can mathematical models do? They can predict what is the possible dynamics given a set of interactions, how different factors such as therapy is going to influence that, and how can you eventually control that dynamics. So can we develop a mathematical model? I'll just present this one example from our work to study metastasis and drug resistance. Quick question again. When did you last develop a mathematical model? Students sitting here, how many of you developed any mathematical model in past 1 week? Okay. 1 year. Okay. Never. So all of you have never developed any mathematical models? I'm going to convince you that's not true. How many of you play any of these games? or have played any of these games, you are all writing down mathematical equations in your head. You're just not solving them explicitly, right? You are guessing where exactly the ball is going to come, which direction you want to hit it, what acceleration, what velocity, where you want to park it, where is the fielder, what areas you're trying to avoid. It's all Newton's laws of motion at the end of the day. You can add friction and other complicated things in between, right? So we all use these tools consciously or subconsciously. It's basically mathematical model is a formal logical way of thinking about a set of events and how they impact each other. At the end of the day, that's all that it's to it. Of course, there are tools. People who are driving, you have to guess whether these many seconds are left, you'll be able to cross the signal or not. S is equals to ut plus half at square. That's it. That's the simple equation that you're using there to calculate these kinds of things, right? Stock markets, all mathematical models being used in multiple dimensions of our life, whether you realize them or not. So the question we started asking is, can metastasis and drug resistance drive each other? And the reason for this was this clinical observation that tamoxifen, which is a targeted therapy given to breast cancer patients, 1/3 of women treated with tamoxifen for 5 years come back with the disease within 15 years, and 1/3 of them actually have metastasis. So now you have metastasis and drug resistance happening simultaneously. Why? How? These were the questions that we were interested in, right? So this was a clinical observation. Now, just to give a glimpse of what exactly happens in the context of breast cancer treatment. So breast cancer, let's say a biopsy is done, it goes to a pathologist, and a pathologist measures these 3 molecules, which do some detailed functions in terms of cell growth. Let's not go into the technical details. But based on this, then a patient gets classified into A, B, C, or D, and those categories have very different treatment strategies. So if the classification is wrong, then of course the treatment strategies are wrong, right? So the most common ones is in this first category called estrogen receptor positive. Estrogen receptor, as the name suggests, is a molecule present on the surface of a cancer cell which binds to estrogen, which is the growth hormone present in the environment. So the estrogen drives cell growth. Okay? Now, so that is why in a cancer cell, there is more number of estrogen receptors as compared to a normal cell. A normal cell knows how many times to divide, how many times not to divide. Cancer cells disobeys that, so there are many, many more molecules present on the surface. So the idea here, which is target therapy, which is for this particular subtype of cancer, is that it is going to be much more effective against these cells with minimal damage done to these other kinds of cells. Now, what are different ways in which tamoxifen cannot respond? Patients cannot respond to tamoxifen. There are multiple ways, right? So how is tamoxifen working? Tamoxifen is binding to these molecules, and that disallows the binding of estrogen and going into the cell. So there are multiple ways. Not every cell might have very high levels of this molecule. This molecule might be present in different conformations, so the drug is not able to bind. And of course, this signal is not the only way cells divide. There can be many, many other ways as well, right? So also in the context of metastasis, what we know, as I mentioned earlier, that most common cancers do not have the intrinsic property to move. So these are what are called as epithelial cells in our body, which line all the different organs. And then there are mesenchymal cells in the body, such as red blood cells, who actually travel all over the body. Now, what is very well established in the field is that when epithelial cells in the tumor want to enter a circulatory system, they need to loosen their cell-cell adhesion, and they need to gain the property to move. And this is a transition called as epithelial to mesenchymal transition, or EMT in short. And once they reach the other organ, they no longer need to migrate, they no longer need to invade, they need to settle down again, so they undergo the exact opposite transition, MET. Now, what is the relationship between EMT and estrogen receptors, if any? One is driving metastasis, one is driving drug resistance. So what we know from literature is that, for example, there are these 2 molecules. This molecule binds to tamoxifen, this molecule does not bind to tamoxifen. These are the 2 different types of estrogen receptor. And also, this molecule can actually shut down the production of the other molecule through some detailed biochemistry, which I'm not going into the details of. So when this molecule is high, this molecule is low. What can also happen is that this molecule can actually induce EMT. So these particular molecules drive EMT, so they make the cells potentially more metastatic. And this is a feedback loop. This molecule then shuts down the production of this molecule. Now, when you see these feedback loops, you could notice that there are two possible states. This molecule is high, this is low, and this is low. So this is your primary tumor condition, when cells are not moving and when cells are sensitive to tamoxifen. You can have the exact opposite state when this molecule is low, this is high, and therefore this is low. Right? So you can have two cell states. In technical terms, it's a bistable system. You can have two cell states, and cells could switch back and forth between these two states. So the treatment of a drug could actually switch the cells. Now, each of these links that I highlighted here was known individually in the literature. What we have done here is to integrate that what are the consequences if you have all of these interactions going on together, and you begin to see non-intuitive predictions being made that you can have two cell states, right? This is like, say during cooking, you might have different ingredients, but unless you put them together in a specific sequence, in a specific amount, for a specific time, you do not get the flavor, you do not get the taste, right? So all the ingredients were known, but what we have done is the cooking part, right? We have integrated them both and used mathematical models to see what the emergent outcomes of these properties are. So we have shown that cancer cells can switch their cell states back and forth. They can be resistant or sensitive, epithelial or mesenchymal. And interestingly, this is the most interesting part, is that when cells begin to move, they already are drug resistant. So when they are exiting the primary tumor, the way these molecules connect to each other, as also validated by publicly available experimental data from these studies, and predicted by our model, that when cells are beginning to move, they may already be drug resistant. And interestingly, when cells gain resistance to drug, they also begin to move. So think of the clinical implications of this. Patients who are receiving this drug, which is 75% of the most common breast cancer cases, of course some cells are dying, but cells which are not dying can be more metastatic than what they were prior to the treatment of the drug. So the drug treatment is enabling new behaviors, which in this case is actually potentially worsening the situation. Right? So now we are thinking about what combinations of therapies can be given to such patients, and these tests are being done in our experimental collaborators lab to see whether this holds out, and then we eventually plan to move to the clinical trials and so on. So what are the lessons? And I presented one case study, but there are multiple such case studies we and others have done so far. So you might think that you have a very accurate therapy, right? You are going to kill every single cell because it's not chemotherapy, radiation therapy, which are more generic. This is targeted therapy, right? But there are some cells which survive. There are some cells which adapt. And cell death is therefore not the only inevitable output of any therapy. And they may induce a more aggressive behavior as well. And what we are now proceeding on is to use these mathematical models to then come up with a better combination of therapies which can be taken further. So clearly these are open questions. All I have shown is a possibility that this can happen, and we have seen this in multiple cancers, multiple therapies, even immunotherapy we have seen this. But what we do not know is what percentage of cells die, what percentage of cells do not die. How is that percentage controlled by previous treatments, by the drug concentration, by the genetic background of the patient, etc., etc. Clearly, those are all open questions for which we would need more advanced mathematical models, more experimental data, and most importantly, more collaboration between mathematical models, experimentalists, and clinicians to take further. So I'll summarize what I have learned so far in this journey. So I started as an undergrad at IIT Kanpur, went on for my PhD, was a postdoc working with a clinician, and have been running my own research group for past 6 years or so. So currently my research group contains students, undergraduates, postgraduates, PhD students, postdocs, from all different backgrounds. They are engineers, some of them are engineers, some are physicists, some are mathematicians, some are biologists. We also have ecology colleagues working together. And also we collaborate extensively with other colleagues across different universities around the world who also come from diverse different disciplines, because no one discipline is going to be able to solve what we saw. And coming to the point of disciplines, right? We all study these subjects in school. But when you think of any system, say plant growth, there is photosynthesis, which is chemistry. There is root growth, which is physics. There is cell division, which is biology. and every leaf knows when to stop growing is mathematics. The system doesn't care what you call it, right? So this compartmentalization that has been done was done so that we can learn the basics of each of them, not so that you restrict your way of thinking in that discipline, right? So we compartmentalize this for so-called our ease of education around the world, but currently, or I mean, for that matter, nature or even cancer, any human disease doesn't do that. It just does whatever it takes to succeed, to grow, to take over the world. And we should also be doing that. So instead of pigeonholing ourselves, saying, well, I'm a biologist, well, I'm a mathematician, well, I'm a physicist, well, I'm a chemist, it's important to have identity, but it's absolutely okay to have identity crisis as your identity. And think about that, can you really get insights from multiple different disciplines and work together? So if cancer cells are doing this all the time, they're changing their identity, they're cooperating, they're collaborating, why are we not doing it in this war against cancer, right? And again, back to my favorite movie, Harry Potter, it is, as Professor Dumbledore says, it is our choices that distinguish us. So, of course, you could continue to work in a specific area, which is absolutely fine, and it is that I'm not in any way saying that the rigor can be compromised. The rigor should never be compromised. That goes without saying. But it's a choice, whether you want to collaborate, whether you want to be interdisciplinary or not. Now, many of you might have heard this example of blind men and an elephant, right? So the story goes that there's an elephant and there are 9 blind men. And they're trying to describe the elephant based on what they feel. So someone says it's a rope, someone says it's a wall, someone says it's a tree. It's probably all of it. So is cancer. Depending on whether you look at as a chemist, as a biologist, as a mathematician, probably every single thing that you are saying is true, but none of the individual statements is complete enough that you can tackle this, right? So that is why you need multiple different perspectives to then come further. And this is again from one of my other favorite books. It says that what is more important, the journey or the destination? And the answer is the company, right? So research is not about being the topper in school. I was never a topper in my undergraduate program, but I just enjoy asking questions and try to address them. Research is about persistence. Research is about thinking questions from as many angles as possible. And if you have a wonderful company who can provide you with new kinds of insights, new kinds of, you talk to a physicist and he says, well, have you thought about this? That's a new idea. Let's work on it together. So, right? So it's the company that matters the most. With that, let me thank every one of you and also our funding agencies who have been supporting this work from the government, Paramahansa Philanthropies, of course, the Department of Science, Technology and Waste Management, Government of Goa, for putting together this fantastic event. I congratulate them for consistently doing this and, of course, for honoring me with this prestigious award, and all the people who I have had the fortune of calling my partners during my journey. And I'll just end with this. At least when I was studying in class 10th, 20 years ago, I was asked to make a choice, maths or bio, and that determined your future career, etc., etc. Today, only 20 years later, tells you how fast life changes, how fast things change. If you're not integrating them both, you're actually not solving the most important problems. You actually need integration across these two paths which seemingly diverge, or you were told that they may diverge in an irreversible manner, but that's clearly not the case. And you could still learn, you could switch across fields, you could learn across fields. And with that, I would like to thank you once again for your attention, and we'll be happy to take questions later.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jolly. I think this brings us to the conclusion of our today's technical session. We will get into question and answer mode. We will just put chairs and request all the speakers and honorable chairman and the director to come on the dais so that we can have a concluding session also. Yeah. So I request all of you, the students, to be ready with the questions. and ask the speakers. Any questions? Keep it ready. Yeah. So may I now request Dr. Luz Wozniak, Dr. Anil Kakodkar, Chairman Sir and Director, and Dr. Jolly to please come on the stage. It has been a fantastic journey. It has been fantastic being together to listen to great minds who have contributed a great in terms of science and technology. I request students please ask them questions because this is a great opportunity that you have. While we were students, we did not have such an opportunity. Nobody conducted such, beautiful conferences and brought scientists to talk to us. You are fortunate, lot of children. So please make use of this this opportunity and ask as many questions that you have in your mind so that when you go back, you go with the answers. Yeah. Any questions? Yes. Can I ask the cordless mic if you have? Yeah, volunteers. I may request volunteers to please give me. Also pose a question that whom you want to ask the question. Or if it may be a general or anybody can answer to it. Yes. Tell your name and ask the question.
My name is Amok Desai and I study in Government Polytechnic Panji. My first questions are for our first speaker.
Okay.
My first question is that as students or as people from education sector, how can we promote healthy lifestyle in young generation to prevent aging related complications later in life? And my second question is that in adults who want to stay fit and exercise, how do they proceed when they have joint related issues like joint pain, etc.?
Okay. Thank you for these questions. If I understood well, you wanted me to comment on possibility of using activity for increasing your potential. I mean, your professional potential, yeah? What can I say? I can say practice makes perfect. I can say you have to try. I can say you have to gather knowledge and be open to try everything.
One more question I had is, in emergency situations for elderly people or for anyone, what is the minimum distance at which we should have medical facilities available?
What is the minimal? Can you repeat the question, please? This is a very difficult question, and I think with all technologies that we now have, this is not a question about the distance. The question is about the access. And access means supporting technologies, and access means possibility to use new tools to reach the place. In majority of situations, it's not a question of immediate personal contact. Now it's a question of the access to the facilities. Through telemedicine, for example, through the support of new technologies, through the proper recognition of the problem at the very early stage, so we can interfere as soon as possible without creating the timeline to reach the point when the diagnosis is very difficult and the prognosis is very bad. So early diagnosis means use all tools, not often direct contact with the medical center.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone? Yeah. So can you just pass on that mic to this girl? Please. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm a student in Our Lady of the Rosary from 11th Arts, and I would like to know about dementia.
You want to know more about dementia? Oh, it's quite a broad area of studies and broad area of activity of medical doctors, social workers. It's one of the neurodegenerative diseases. It means that this is a disease created with a lifespan because of the change in neuronal transmission, in generally say, shrinking possibility of human's mind to properly react to the outside signals. So if your mind does not react properly because it's damaged, either brain or neurons are damaged, there are plaques on neurons, so the transmission is not proper. There are starting problems of dementia. They can develop individually. They can develop during quite a long time. So very often the first signs of dementia are not diagnosed properly and not diagnosed early enough to start using different technologies, slowing down dementia. Once the dementia is diagnosed, it can't be stopped. It has to be only slowed down, and this is important, very important factor. So if you start thinking about proper and early diagnosis, you can involve different technologies, different approaches to slow it down, but you can't stop it, unfortunately. Therefore, dementia is a very broad term, and then you can go into very specific kinds of dementia, like Alzheimer's disease, like Parkinson's disease, which have the same core of the reasons, but the behavior is different and is treated in different way these days. But it's developing with age. There is no cure for dementia at the moment, and one can only try to slow it down and to support people with dementia to stay active in the society as long as possible.
Okay, you have one more student there. Can you just pass on that mic to him? Yeah, can you just pass on the mic, sir, please? Yeah.
Good day to one and all present here, respected spokespeople and my dear friends. My name is Joel Fendanis, studying in St. Xavier's College, SY BSc Microbiology. So I had two questions. Okay, my first question would be to Professor Hebel. So ma'am, my question to you is that there's a growing talk that people say that, there's not enough resources for people all over the world. Like people are starving, people are not getting water, clean water to drink. Many people don't have energy till now. So, ma'am, so when you say that we should take care about the growing population, the elderly, aging people, so if we try to support them, we are not trying to support the new generation that is coming to. Okay, so there's a very, I would not say, it is a very, unethical. Like, say if I was proposed a question, okay, like if I was someone said to me would you save your mother or would you save your daughter? Okay, a very difficult question. Okay, you have to think a lot, but most people would choose their daughter, right? So, so when you say that we should take care of our elderly, no harm and no disrespect to any of the elderly, but like we should try to conserve the resources for the new generation. Okay, and my second question, I will really quick, would be to Professor Jolly. Professor, when you spoke about cancer a lot, so sir, there is a growing thing about the cancer paradox. Okay, have you heard about that, sir? So many people say that could be a cure, okay, using cancer paradox. So sir, what would be your opinion on the cancer paradox? Yes, thank you.
Okay, now Professor Wozniak.
Thank you for this question. Of course, there is no simple answer, but thank you for taking it into public. I think this is just a philosophy, but it's also a pragmatism of the society. We need all generations living together, and the elderly generation, which is, as you said, somehow considered as being well cared, is taking resources from young generation. I would say that the older generation can offer a lot to younger generation, and if there is solidarity in thinking about the coexistence in the society, this would be a win-win story. So I'm not saying that we have to spend all resources on protecting or supporting the older generation. What I am saying is that there has to be a balance in the society, and we can both let's say, borderline generations, young generation, your generation, can take a lot from the older generation, from our generation, but you will become older, and we wish you all the best, and we wish your generation to live much longer than we used to live. And if you follow the President of the United States, if you start thinking about it early, you probably come to the conclusion that the societal solidarity is something that is a win-win game within human beings.
Thank you very much. And Professor Jolly?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that question about the paradox in cancer. So from what I've read in the literature, it is about how the frequency of getting cancer is connected to the size of the organism, right? Because cancer is basically a disease which is progressed or at least facilitated by multiple cell division. So the more number of cells that you have, the more chances of getting eventually cancer. And then some large mammals such as whales or elephants do not get. Is that the paradox you were referring to? Right. So, and then the idea is that they have a higher number of copies of the same genes or set of genes which are so-called tumor suppressor genes, which play a role in decreasing cancer, right? So this is an interesting fundamental question, but I think from a therapeutic perspective, we haven't reached a stage where you could, add more copies of a gene in any given, even simplest microorganism, let alone the, human scenarios. So whether, if and when this fundamental paradox situation, which is an interesting question that many people have tried to address, if and when this can be potentially therapeutically viable remains to be seen, depending on the technology if it goes there.
Yeah. Any students? Okay. Sir, we'll take a question, last student, and then I'll come to you. Just behind you. There. No, he has already one. You can keep it with you.
Hello, my name is Vedant Foy, and I'm from Bachelor's in Science at Dhyan Prasadak Mandal. My question is there a way to, per se, reverse aging to a certain extent, obviously, like using stem cell theories and all, therapy and all, stem cell therapy?
Yeah, Professor Wozniak, he's asking whether we can reverse aging.
To a certain extent. It's not much, but yeah. maybe a year or two?
This is a very good question, and I think you are not the first one who asked this question, and for centuries people tried to do this, and I think from the scientific point of view, from the point of view of a researcher, I can say that you can't revert it, because it is a process, and you collect and take a lot of external and internal signals that in summary go to the process. And from the thermodynamical point of view, you know that life is controlled by thermodynamics, yes. And so you can't stop the process, but you can slow it down using all possible tools. We can slow down the process. We can do it more affordable for people. We can do it more pleasant for people, for human beings. We can reduce the external factors which we know that cause faster aging, like pollution, like smoking, like lifestyle in general. Okay. Lifestyle is a very important factor to the process of healthy aging. So if we live a good life and control our lifestyle with
good environment per se.
Yes, with exercises, strong physical activity, with training your memory, with using proper diet, supporting your body with nutritions that are required, you can slow it down. But on the other side, you have external factors like, for example, pollution. That, of course, we can influence on it in general. That's why solidarity, that's why joint activities can support our slowing down our aging process. But we can't stop it. Yeah. It's thermodynamics.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have last one more question. Like, let's say if a person having dementia, if you train your memory a lot, would it reduce the chances of getting dementia or other neurodegenerative diseases? I don't know the proper term for it.
The answer is not very easy, and of course I'm not expert in dementia, but I can tell you about a discussion quite recently we had among colleagues in Poland, observing that there were a lot of victims of Alzheimer's diseases among very, very well-known researchers. And the question was how it happened that these processes were so rapid within the community of people who were very active also intellectually, so training their memory every day. And one of the colleagues, mathematician, told us that he thinks that there is a mechanism that people using their minds, using their mental potential.
Request the students to please sit for some time. We are concluding it. But please
that
sit.
They can overgo.
Request the students to please
and
take a seat.
We don't know that they have dementia because they use their minds also to explain properly the things they can't explain directly.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I think we are. We will take a last question. Very quick question. Yeah, please. Very quick question.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Bandodkar. I am a medical doctor, and I am not a formal student, so I'm sorry for that. My question, unfortunately, is again for you. The question is like this. How is this hallowed number of 60 years in our country arrived to make you retire? Number one, how are the communities around the world and advanced nations look at this figure? Number two, and number three, because I've traveled a bit, in Europe and in America, people are given a free societal choice to work till the age of 90, 92, as much as they are given to live their lives and earn. Because the issues are connected with your own self-esteem and dignity in elderly people, looking at the retirement so-called age can help the situation of elderly.
Oh, thank you for this question. 50 years ago, 50 years old people were treated as quite old people. 60 years old people were treated like very old people. Now the age when we say elderly people is moving, and this is moving with the prolonging lifespan. If we live longer, the border of this, let's say, maturity, when we start thinking about retirement, is moving. Yes, in Europe, in the States, we have several opportunities to work longer. We have several opportunities also, and we try to build up the possibility of using skills and experience of elderly people to keep them in the society active as long as possible, just to use their experience, just to use their skills. So people should have a possibility to choose whether they want to stop working or they want to continue working. And this would be perfect situation. Nothing is perfect, nobody is perfect, and it's very difficult to reach this level. Yes. But I think that one of the important factors of keeping healthy aging is to keep people active, to use their potential according to their individual possibilities.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We are now coming to an end. So great interaction is a wonderful thing. Big applause to all of our esteemed speakers who have taken their time, interacted with you, and of course, given some food for thought. So wonderful. Now, we wish to felicitate our esteemed guest. May I now request the Honorable Chairman of the Manohar Parrikar Vidnyan Mahotsav Advisory Committee to felicitate speaker. Sir, Professor Wozniak. Yeah, kindly have a seat. We will just finish in another 5 minutes. Professor Wozniak.
I'm honored, and I
Thank you, sir. May I request, sir, to also felicitate Dr. Anil Kakorkar ji. Dr. Anil Kakorkar ji also. Thank you. Give them applause. Dr. Mohit Jolly. May I request the Honorable Chairman to felicitate Professor Mohit Jolly, young awardee of the second awardee of Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Award. Also to the Director Science and Technology, Shri Ankit Yadav. I request sir to also felicitate Ankit Yadav ji, who is the one who is a pillar, and he has actually directed and he has helped achieve what we are seeing today. Shri Ankit Yadav, big applause to him. Under his leadership, we have been able to conduct this 6th edition of this thing. May I also request Shri Ankit Yadavji to felicitate our Honorable Chairman, Shri Jose Manuel Narona. So he's been guiding force for the last 6 years now. Under his leadership, we have been able to excel the heights. Every year, we have been adding more and more number of venues. And for the last 6 years, Dr. Anil Kakotkarji also has been part of this by, as a chairman of the Manohar Parrikar Yuva Scientist Award Committee. Thank you very much, sir, for all these things. And now may I request Shri Jose Manuel Narona to give concluding remarks. And after that, perhaps all of you please join us for a lunch and safe journey.
Anyway, thanks to all of you. I know there's no time. Everybody wants to leave. Thanks to the speakers for the wonderful speech and talks. And I know we are late. You all can leave now and have a good lunch. Thank you.